And which aspects of care have been most influenced by the Quality Oncology Practice Initiative, the QOPI, and the Choosing Wisely Initiative? Are there some things that it's really hit?
So I think that there have been two major accomplishments of those programs. The first is the idea of developing continuous quality improvement by measurement. So the idea that practices would volunteer for reporting and then have feedback and then try to improve those processes. So that's sort of a generic answer. A very pragmatic answer is I do think it has influenced end-of-life care. There's evidence, for example, University of Michigan has reported evidence that their chemotherapy administration in the last 7 to 14 days of life was abhorrent and got dramatically better when they started measuring it. So I think, getting process around end-of-life care is extraordinarily difficult, but by using the COPI measures for end-of-life care, people looked and said, we're just not happy with our performance there.
So give me some strategies that are important to initiate quality improvement, and what are the barriers to putting those in place?
Yeah. Well, I think that the first thing that has to happen is that, as we said, there has to be consensus around how do we define quality. And then I think there has to be an agreement amongst the payers who are being asked to pay for quality that we're going to subscribe to a single standard of quality, because asking different practices to measure different things is extraordinarily difficult. We have to have things that we can measure. And we said there are some difficulties in doing that, so finding things that not only matter, but that we can measure are critical. And then finally, finding a way of paying for that. I remember our CEO was asked one day, so when she said, well, we pay for evidence-based care, and the respondent said, well, what did you pay for before? And I think here, and I think the same thing here when we say, well, we're paying for quality. Well, weren't we paying for quality before? So, but it really comes down to re-engineering practices to improve the quality and consistency and reliability of care takes dollars. And how do we fund that? If I go to my CFO and say, hey, I need $2.2 million to fund improvements in cancer oncology care, that's a challenge. And so finding ways, probably the biggest barrier is how to pay practices to do this. Lots of practices have become COPI certified, but find more than a handful that have gotten paid. I'd like to talk to them.
By the way, I may have spoken to the same CEO that you did. Because she said, I only pay for data-driven healthcare and outcome research proven healthcare. Yeah. And I said, what are you treating?
The premium should be zero.
Yeah, it should be, because of the paucity of data.
Yeah, but I will say, I think there's been some great value in having folks from their organizations, so ABIM and sure. COPI, ASCO, taking the initiative to be able to say it's on, the onus is on you to begin measuring yourselves and bringing that to the table, versus us taking out our data and saying this is what we're seeing. So I think that's been a great contribution to the dialogue, and I find that to be extremely valuable, because now all of a sudden, instead of us debating over the data and the credibility of the data, we're now asking the question of, so either what's wrong and needs to be fixed, or what are the opportunities that we can get on the same side of the fence and solve together. Okay. So it's changed the dialogue.
But what I've heard, I think more from